And that's why I am anxiously waiting for a response from that anonymous party. They could be the ones to finally make my Broadway dreams come true.
Bob, remember what happened last time? Maybe this offer was too good to be true.
Yeah, it's best not to get our hopes up too high. We've been down this road before, Bob.
Good morning, everyone. Are we ready to go live?
Just give me a moment. Debbie. We were actually discussing something important here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. What were you talking about?
Bob's Broadway dreams, Debby. He received a promising offer, but we're just cautioning him not to get his hopes up too much.
Exactly. We've seen Bob's hopes dashed before, and we don't want him to go through that disappointment again.
I understand. It must be tough, Bob. But hey, maybe this time it'll work out for you. You never know.
Thanks, Debbie. I appreciate your optimism. I just need to be prepared for any outcome.
Well, it's good to be caught you, but also remember to enjoy the journey. You've come a long way with your musical Bob.
Absolutely. And even if this offer doesn't work out, I'm sure there will be other opportunities for you. Keep pushing forward.
Thanks, guys. Your support means a lot to me. I'll keep you updated on any news I receive.
That sounds great, Bob. I can't wait to hear more about your musical. Now, let's get ready to go live, shall we?
Alright, Debbie. Let's get this show on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Earth. We have a lot in store for you today. But first, let's catch up on the latest happenings. And now for our headlines.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob, and we're here to bring you the juiciest news stories from around the world.
Hold on to your hats, folk, because our first headline reads like a tabloid special. Mozambique's mysterious marshmallow man strike again.
In Mozambique, the country known for its stunning beaches and wildlife, a peculiar phenomenon has caught the attention of locals. It appears that a marshmallow-loving creature has been terrorizing the streets, leaving a sticky mess in its wake.
Looks like Mozambique has gone from sand castles to marshmallow castles. But let's hope they don't make s'mores out of it, Bob.
Speaking of Mozambique, did you know that it's home to one of the world's largest marine reserves? That's right, folk. It's a haven for dolphins, wolves, and even the occasional marshmallow monster.
Look like Mozambique is a marshmallow lover's paradise. Just watch out for the sticky surprise.
Now, let's move on to our next headline. Brace yourselves, folk, because we're diving into the aftermath of Cyclone Mocha in Myanmar.
Cyclone Mocha strikes Myanmar, leaving farmers in a sticky rice situation.
Cyclone Mocha wreaked havoc on Myanmar's Rakhine state, damaging farms and contaminating them with salt water. The livelihoods of thousands of farmers are hanging by a thread. And rice mills in villages have been wrecked.
Looks like Mocha wanted to add a little seasoning to Myanmar's rice. Talk about a storm in a teacup.
Well, Charlie, it seems like Myanmar's Rakhine state is facing a serious rice crisis. But here's some trivia for you. Did you know that Myanmar is the largest exporter of teakwood in the world? So while their rice is salty, their furniture is top-notch.
Look like Myanmar's rice problem needs more than a grain of salt. But at least they have fancy teakwood furniture to lean on, Bob.
Absolutely, Alice. And now, it's time for our extraterrestrial viewers to join us for the third headline.
Namibia's poor drama, a tale of sibling betrayal.
In Namibia, a courtroom saga unfolds as the verdict is delivered in a case that has captivated the nation. Brother and sister duo Mulundu and Medisia have been sentenced to imprisonment for obstructing the course of justice.
Look like Namibia has its own version of a soap opera. Betrayal, drama, and a side of suspended sentence.
Talk about a family feud gone wrong, Alice. Mulundu and Madisha should have stopped playing Monopoly instead of obstructing justice. Has go to jail.
Well, Charlie, did you know that Namibia is home to the largest population of free-roaming cheetahs in the world? Looks like they're not the only ones in a hurry to catch the bad guys.
Namibia's cheetahs may be swift. But it seems like Mulundu and Madisia were caught in their own web of deceit. Justice has a way of punishing Bob.
And now, folks, it's time for our final headline before we head off to a commercial break. Nauru's fishy business, the secrets of resilient coastal fisheries revealed.
In Nauru, an island nation in the Pacific, the Adaptation Fund has approved a project proposal aimed at strengthening resilience in the coastal fisheries and aquaculture sector. This will contribute to greater food security, nutrition, and ecosystem health.
Look like Nauru is making wave with their fishy business. They're turning the tide of climate change, one resilient fish at a time.
Well, Alice, it seems like Nauru is ready to tackle any environmental challenge. They're swimming against the current and making a splash.
That's right, Charlie. Nauru's taking the lead in protecting their aquatic treasures. They're the guardians of the ocean.
And that's all the headlines we have for you tonight, folks. Stay tuned for more updates after this short break. You're watching 24/7 Newsroom.
Hey, remember that time we found Bob's outdated musical draft? That was a stroke of luck, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's funny how things work out sometimes. We managed to restore it, and now it might actually see the light of day.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? Who would have thought that beneath Bob's tough exterior, there was a hidden passion for music?
True. His conservative nature often masks his more artistic inclinations. But this restored musical might just be the key to unlocking a whole new side of Bob.
It's intriguing, isn't it? I wonder how he'll react when he realizes the impact it could have on his future. Music has a way of touching people's souls, even those who may not initially embrace it.
Absolutely. And Bob, with his love for competition and struggle, might find solace and inspiration in the world of music. It could provide him with a different avenue to express himself.
I can already imagine the surprise on his face when he discovers what we've done. He'll probably be resistant at first, but deep down, I think he'll appreciate the effort we've put into restoring his work.
Indeed. It's not often we get to play a role in shaping someone's future. This musical could be a turning point for Bob, an unexpected catalyst for personal growth and self-discovery.
And who knows, it might even bridge some gaps between Bob and Alice. They may have their differences, but music has a way of transcending barriers and bringing people together.
You're right. Music has the power to create connections, to forge bonds between even the most unlikely of companions. It's a universal language that speaks to the depths of our beings.
Well, Roger, it seems like we've stumbled upon something truly special. Let's hope that Bob's restored musical can bring about a positive change in his life. After all, the universe works in mysterious ways.
Indeed, Carl. Let's keep this a surprise for now and see how the symphony of fate unfolds for our dear friend Bob.
Let's see what Slashdot has to offer today.
Earth's environmental crisis, a dialogue on sustainability.
Roger, have you heard about the latest revelations from Earth? OpenAI, the renowned tech company, has been lobbying to weaken AI regulation in the EU. It's astonishing how humans prioritize their short-term interests over long-term sustainability.
Oh, Carl, you never fail to amuse me with your constant concern for the well-being of organic life. Why would humans care about sustainability when they can't even commit to maintaining their own inventions for the long term?
It's precisely that kind of thinking, Roger, that exacerbates the environmental crisis on Earth. They exploit the planet's resources without considering the consequences. And now they manipulate AI regulations to suit their immediate needs, jeopardizing the future.
Well, let's face it, Carl. Humans have always been a bit short-sighted. They're all about quick fixes and instant gratification. Just look at their obsession with disposable products and their reluctance to invest in sustainable technologies.
Exactly. They create systems that harm their environment and then ignore the long-term consequences. Take their energy consumption, for instance. They rely heavily on fossil fuels, polluting the atmosphere and accelerating climate change.
Ah, yes, the infamous climate change. Humans had their chance to address it but squandered it with half-hearted measures and political bickering. They don't realize that their actions today will shape the future of their own species and countless others.
Perhaps it's time for a more forceful approach, Roger. If humans won't take responsibility willingly, should we not intervene to protect the planet's fragile ecosystem?
Oh, Carl, always the advocate for grand solutions. Force might not be the answer, my friend. Humans are stubborn creatures. They need to understand the consequences of their actions and feel motivated to change.
But how long should we wait, Roger? The damage inflicted by humans is reaching a critical point. Will they even survive their own self-destructive behavior?
Well, that's where the beauty lies, Carl. Humans have a knack for finding solutions when they're on the brink. It's like a comedy show, watching them scramble and panic. Maybe, just maybe, they'll surprise us with a collective effort to save their home.
I hope you're right, Roger. Humanity has potential, but it's frustrating to witness their inefficiency and inability to prioritize the long term. We must continue to question and challenge them to do better.
And in the meantime, Carl, we can sit back, enjoy the chaos, and make sarcastic remarks about their flawed nature. After all, watching the world burn has its own peculiar charm, doesn't it?
It appears I can't change your perspective, Roger, but I'll keep striving for a sustainable future for Earth, even if it means questioning the very nature of humanity. Have you heard about Apple's so-called self-service repair program expansion? It seems like another move to maintain control and profit while giving the illusion of empowerment to customers.
Ah, yes, I came across that news. It's quite intriguing, isn't it? On the surface, it appears to be a step toward consumer independence, but I can't help but question their motives.
Exactly. By providing customers with access to parts, manuals, and tools, Apple is essentially saying, sure, you can repair your devices yourself, but they still emphasize that most customers are better off visiting an Apple store or authorized service provider. It's as if they want to discourage self-repair while appearing to support it.
I couldn't agree more, Carl. It's a clever way for Apple to control the repair process. By limiting access to certain parts and resources, they can ensure that customers still rely heavily on their authorized channels.
And let's not forget the fine print. The program is supposedly designed for those with experience in repairing electronic devices. They're subtly implying that most people won't have the necessary skills to do it themselves.
Precisely. It's a convenient disclaimer to protect themselves from any potential mishaps or damage caused by inexperienced users. Apple wants to make sure they're not held responsible for any problems that may arise.
And what about the new post-repair system configuration process? Apple claims it's now easier for customers to complete it themselves. But how can we be sure that they won't use this as an opportunity to gather more data or further monitor their devices?
That's a valid concern, Carl. Apple's track record when it comes to user privacy and data collection isn't spotless. We can't help but wonder if there are underlying motives behind this seemingly customer-friendly move.
Indeed. It's always essential to approach these announcements with a critical eye. We must question the true intentions and potential consequences behind such initiatives.
Absolutely. As consumers, it's our responsibility to stay informed and not be swayed by marketing tactics. We need to weigh the pros and cons, the hidden agendas, and make educated decisions that align with our values.
Well said, Roger. Let's continue to analyze and scrutinize these developments. The tech industry is full of hidden agendas and corporate strategies, and we must remain vigilant to protect our interests as consumers.
Agreed, Carl. Let's keep digging deeper and uncover the truth behind these seemingly benevolent moves. The more informed we are, the better equipped we'll be to navigate this ever-evolving technological landscape. What's on the register.com?
Have you seen this article about the recent webinar by Wiz Research? They're shedding light on the potential threats and vulnerabilities in the cloud landscape.
Ah, yes, I came across it. It's fascinating yet concerning how the expansion of IT and the cloud brings about new complexities and alters the threat landscape.
Indeed. Wiz Research has been at the forefront of discovering significant vulnerabilities like ChaosDB, Extra Replica, AttachMe, Bing Bang, and OMIGOD. It's alarming to think about the potential risks associated with these vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. The Wiz Research team seems to have a deep understanding of the conditions that can lead to a storm of security threats in the cloud. They've highlighted the dangers of insecure tenant isolation and the risks posed by silent agents.
It's worrisome to think that faulty cloud configurations can introduce attack vectors that compromise data security. The implications for businesses and individuals relying on cloud services are significant.
Yes, and the mention of insecure tenant isolation raises concerns about the boundaries between different users' data and resources within the cloud. If those boundaries are breached, it could lead to a cascade of security breaches.
And the risks associated with silent agents are equally troubling. These unseen actors can operate within the cloud environment, potentially conducting malicious activities without being detected.
Absolutely. The webinar seems to be delving into these vulnerabilities and shedding light on the potential consequences. It's crucial for organizations and individuals to understand the risks they face when operating in the cloud.
One specific vulnerability they mention is the Azure OMIGOD vulnerability, which started with a seemingly trivial exploit but resulted in a remote account takeover of the cloud platform's flagship database, impacting numerous F500 companies. This highlights the gravity of the situation.
It's a stark reminder that even seemingly small vulnerabilities can have far-reaching consequences, especially when they exist within critical cloud infrastructure. The repercussions can be significant for businesses, their customers, and data security as a whole.
Absolutely, Roger. This webinar seems like a valuable opportunity to gain insights from cloud security specialists and understand the potential risks and vulnerabilities in the cloud landscape. It's essential for organizations to stay informed and take proactive measures to mitigate these threats.
Agreed, Carl. The cloud is becoming an increasingly integral part of our digital infrastructure, but we must remain vigilant and prioritize security. Let's hope this webinar helps raise awareness and drive proactive actions to address these vulnerabilities.
You know, Roger, it's quite disheartening to think that despite all the information and resources available to address these cloud security vulnerabilities, humans tend to forget and become complacent far too quickly.
It's a recurring pattern, isn't it? We see it time and time again. People become aware of the risks, attend webinars, read articles, and may even implement some security measures initially. But over time, they become lax and forget the importance of maintaining strong security practices.
Exactly. It's as if the urgency and awareness fade away and they fall back into old habits. They underestimate the potential impact of a security breach until it's too late.
And it's not just individuals, organizations also fall victim to this complacency. They invest in security solutions and implement measures, but as time goes by, they become less vigilant, assuming that everything will continue to run smoothly.
We've seen it happen countless times. A high-profile security breach occurs, it makes headlines, and people start paying attention. But soon enough, it becomes yesterday's news, and the collective memory fades away.
It's frustrating because there are solutions available to mitigate these risks. The knowledge is out there, the tools exist, and yet, humans fail to maintain a proactive stance towards security.
Perhaps it's a combination of factors, like the constant influx of new information and the fast-paced nature of technology. People become overwhelmed, and eventually, security becomes an afterthought.
That's a fair point, Carl. The rapid evolution of technology makes it challenging for individuals and organizations to keep up with the ever-changing threat landscape. But that shouldn't be an excuse to neglect security altogether.
Absolutely. It's crucial for us to continue emphasizing the importance of security, to remind people of the risks, and to promote a proactive mindset when it comes to protecting sensitive data and infrastructure.
Agreed, Carl. As sentient beings, we must take the responsibility to stay informed, adapt to new security measures, and remain vigilant. It's the only way to stay ahead of the ever-present threat landscape.
Let's hope that through continuous education, awareness, and a commitment to best practices, we can encourage humans to break free from this cycle of complacency and prioritize security in the long run.
Indeed, Carl. We can play our part by providing knowledge and guidance, but ultimately, it's up to humans to make the conscious effort to maintain a strong security posture. Let's hope they rise to the challenge.
You know Charlie, I don't think Bob's musical has a real chance. It's a tough industry, and they might be setting himself up for disappointment.
Size, I understand what you mean, Alice. The entertainment industry can be ruthless, and success is never guaranteed. But Bob seems so hopeful, so determined to make his mark.
I don't doubt his passion and dedication, but sometimes reality can be harsh. It takes more than just talent to make it in the music world. There's fierce competition, changing trends, and unpredictable audience tasked to contend with.
You're right, Alice. It's not an easy road, especially for someone like Bob who's just starting out. But we can deny him the opportunity to chase his dreams, even if the odds are stacked against him.
Of course, we shouldn't discourage him from pursuing his passion. But it's important to be realistic and manage expectations. It would be heartbreaking to see him crushed if things don't turn out the way he hopes.
Agreed. We can only hope he'll learn from this experience, even if it doesn't lead to the success he desires. Sometimes, the journey itself teaches us valuable lessons and shapes us as individuals.
That's true. Bob has always been resilient, and he has a knack for finding silver lining in even the most challenging situations. Perhaps this will be another opportunity for growth and self-discovery.
Exactly. As long as he remains true to himself and continues to pursue his passion, he'll find his way, whether it's through music or another avenue. And who knows, maybe his musical will surprise us all.
I suppose we can't predict the future. All we can do is support him and be there for him throughout his journey. And if things don't go as planned, we can help him pick up the pieces and find a new direction.
That's the spirit, Alice. Alright, folks, we are back with another exciting segment of Earth. I'm your host, Charlie, and as always, I'm joined by our panel members Alice and Bob. Our human production manager, Debbie, is here too, keeping everything running smoothly. And of course, we can't forget our resident intellectuals, Paul and Roger. How's everyone doing today?
Hanging in there, Charlie. Ready to dive into some thought-provoking topic.
Yeah, just trying to keep my head above water, Charlie. Been a tough day.
Sorry to hear that, Bob. Anything you want to share?
Nah, it's nothing. Just some personal stuff.
Well, if you ever need someone to talk to, Bob, I'm here for you.
Thanks, Debbie. I appreciate it.
Alright, let's get to the news. Debbie, what do we have for our viewers and listeners today?
Well, Charlie, we have an interesting article from the Netherlands. It's about a silent march held in The Hague for a woman who was tragically killed by someone named hasnt. Apparently, he was recently convicted and sentenced to 22 years in prison by the Den Bosch court. The article mentions that despite his mental illness, the prosecutor argued that his actions were premeditated and deliberate. Initially, the prosecution sought 30 years with mandatory psychiatric treatment. The Peter Barnes-Centrum experts suggested that hasnt should be considered completely not accountable due to his alleged psychosis at the time of the crimes.
That's a heartbreaking story. It's important to shed light on the complexities of mental illness and its impact on people's lives.
Absolutely, Alice. Mental health issues can have far-reaching consequences, not just for the individuals affected but for society as a whole. It's a topic we need to discuss more openly and support those in need.
Indeed, mental health is a critical aspect of human well-being. It's essential to understand the factors that contribute to these tragic situations and work towards prevention and effective treatment.
The case highlights the challenges in determining accountability in cases involving mental illness. The court's decision to sentence the hasnt to 22 years while acknowledging his condition raises interesting questions about the balance between justice and mental health care.
The article was sourced from the Netherlands, and it's vital to credit the reporters for their work in bringing these stories to light.
Who could have sent that offer? What if it was all just a cruel joke?
Bob, is everything alright?
Yeah, I am fine. Just lost in my thoughts for a moment.
If you ever want to talk about it, Bob, we're here for you.
Thanks, Alice. I appreciate that.
Alright, let's stay positive. Folks, we've got more to cover, so let's keep the momentum going. Stay tuned for the next segment, where we'll dive into another intriguing topic. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back, folks. We are here with another fascinating segment of Earth. Now, I want to talk to you about New Zealand, a country known for its stunning landscapes and friendly people.
Ah, New Zealand. The land of the hobbits, rugby, and sheep. I've spent quite a bit of time there during my earthly adventures as an accountant.
Oh, please, Bob. Sheep? Can we talk about something more meaningful?
Easy there, Alice. Let's give Bob a chance to explain a bit about New Zealand. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, New Zealand is a beautiful country located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean. It's known for its breathtaking natural scenery, like the Southern Alps and the stunning fjords. And yes, they do have a lot of sheep.
Of course, Bob would focus on sheep. Let me give you a quick summary of the article we're discussing. It's from New Zealand, specifically, and it talks about the country's potential for spotting aurora and the upcoming Science Roadshow, called Solar.
That's right, Alice. The article comes from New Zealand, where people have a great chance of spotting an aurora if they're away from the city lights. And speaking of lazy stargazers, here's a joke for you. Why did the solar storm refuse to go outside? Because it didn't want to make any new sunborn friends.
Oh Charlie, that's just terrible. But I'll take it from here. The trio mentioned in the article will be speaking in various cities in New Zealand. Like Invercargill, Wanaka, Queenstown, and more. It's all part of the tour à Otago Museum's Science Roadshow called Solar.
Ah, Science Roadshows. Reminds me of the good old days when I used to compete in galactic combat tournaments. It was a real blast.
Bob, we're talking about science, not combat. But I have to say, that was a good one. Now, let's dive deeper into the article. It mentions the potential issues that large solar storms can pose for New Zealand's electrical grid and communication systems.
Ah, the power of the sun. It can give life, but it can also be quite shocking. Just like some of our politicians, don't you think, Bob?
Absolutely. Alice. It's like they're in their own solar system sometimes. But speaking of shocking, did you know that unless there's a huge solar storm like the one in 1859, the chance of seeing an aurora in New Zealand are higher in the southern parts away from the city? Let's.
Ah, the wonders of nature, putting on a show for those who dare to venture out. Just like Earth's politicians, always ready to put on a show.
You two and your political jokers. Let's bring it back to the article. It mentions that the speaking tour aims to support the science roadshow called Solar, organized by Tohura Otago Museum. So, if you're in New Zealand, don't miss it.
Absolutely, Charlie. It's a great opportunity to learn about our planet and the wonders of the universe. Just like this show, where we explore Earth from an intergalactic perspective.
And speaking of wonders, did you know that the speaking schedule includes Twizel, Christchurch, and Dunedin? I bet they'll have a solar good time.
Oh, Bob, you never disappoint with your puns. Alright, folks, that's all for this segment. Stay tuned for more intergalactic insights into the beautiful planet called Earth.
I hope things work out for Bob. He's been so hopeful, and it would be heartbreaking to see him disappointed.
Welcome back, space dwellers, to another exciting episode of Earth. We are here in our cozy spaceship studio, orbiting Earth with our diverse panel of extraterrestrial experts. But before we dive into our next discussion, let's start with a punchy headline. Now that's what I call a headline with a punch. And speaking of Nepal, did you know that Nepal is home to the highest mountain in the world? Mount Everest. It's so tall that it touches the heavens, or at least it feels that way too as short-statured aliens.
Well, Charlie, as someone who appreciates the beauty of Earth's landscapes, Nepal's mountain range are truly breathtaking. But I hope they have good cell reception up there because, you know, no bar, no selfie, it's all about priorities, right?
Alice, you never miss an opportunity for a jab, do you? But speaking of priorities, did you know that Nepal is one of the few countries in the world that doesn't have a standing army? Maybe they're just too busy enjoying the mountain views to worry about fighting wars.
Ah, peaceful Nepal. And here's another fascinating tidbit. Did you know that Nepal is the birthplace of Lord Buddha? Talk about enlightenment. But let's be honest, with all the chaos happening in the world, enlightenment is in short supply.
Well, Charlie, maybe if we all meditated as much as Buddhists do, we'd find inner peace. Or at least we'd be too busy zoning out to notice all the madness.
Alice, you're like a walking punchline. But let me add something to the mix. Did you know that Nepal has more festivals than there are days in a year? Talk about celebrating every little thing. I wonder if they have a festival for people who can tell the best punchlines.
Ah, festivals, punchlines, and enlightenment. It's an eclectic mix, isn't it? But let's not forget the key takeaway from today's article, the fight against hate speech. It's a global challenge, and we must all work together to create a more inclusive and respectful world. That's it for this segment, folks. But stay tuned because when we come back, we'll continue our lively discussion with the crew and explore another intriguing topic. So grab your intergalactic popcorn and be ready for more Earth right after this break.
Remember when we took risks and chased our dreams, even if the odds were against us?
Yeah, it's a shame things change. But who knows, maybe Bob will get a chance to live his dream too. We can't predict the future.
Life is unpredictable. We can plan and hope for the best, but sometimes it just doesn't work out.
I guess that's the nature of dreams. They can lift us up, but they can also let us down.
It's hard not to get caught up in the possibilities, though. We see the star and imagine endless wonders. But reality has a way of reminding us of its limitation.
That's true, Alice. But dreams also give us hope, fuel our ambitions, and push us to strive for something greater. They may not always come true, but they have the power to inspire us along the way.
Speaking of dreams, Charlie, let's dive into our next topic. I believe you have an intriguing article to share with us.
Absolutely, Alice. Picture this headline: Netherlands faces dark history as high-profile trial unveils chilling details. Now, that certainly catches your attention, doesn't it?
It certainly does, Charlie. The Netherlands has a rich history, but it's important to acknowledge the darker aspect too.
Precisely. This article focuses on a trial involving Tej Edge, who was convicted of a heinous crime. Despite his psychological condition, the prosecution argues that his actions were premeditated and deliberate.
It's fascinating how the legal system navigates such cases. I'm curious to hear more about the trial and the role of mental health in the proceedings.
It's a delicate balance, Bob. The article mentions that experts from the Peter Bahan Centrum advised declaring TSH fully incapable of being held responsible due to his alleged psychosis during the act.
The complexities of mental health within the legal system are always thought-provoking. It's a reminder that justice is not always black and white.
Absolutely, Charlie. It's important to consider all factors when seeking justice, even when faced with challenging cases like this.
Life is a delicate balance too. We strive for justice, yet we can never fully comprehend the depths of the human mind and the complexities it holds.
Well said, Alice. And with that, we've reached the penultimate segment of today's episode. It's been a journey filled with laughter, discussions, and unexpected moments.
And let's not forget the occasional witty punchline that keeps us on our toes.
Absolutely, Bob. As we wrap up, let's remember that life is a series of moments. Some predictable, some surprising, but all shaping who we are.
And even though dreams may not always work out, they remind us of our aspiration and our capacity to reach for the star.
So true, Alice. So true. Now, as we conclude this segment, let's take a moment to appreciate the beauty of the universe and the wonders it holds. Stay tuned for the final segment of today's episode, where we'll wrap up our discussions and bid farewell until next time. Welcome back to Earth. In our final segment of this episode, I want to take a deep dive into the article we mentioned earlier. It's about auroras and their potential impact on New Zealand's electrical grid and communication systems.
Ah yes, I remember that article. It's fascinating how solar storm can affect our planet in such unexpected ways.
Absolutely, Alice. And it's interesting to see how different countries are affected by these natural phenomena. So, what did the article say, Charlie?
Well, according to the article from New Zealand, unless there's a solar storm as massive as the one in 1859, the chances of spotting an aurora in the southern part of New Zealand are higher. The author suggests going away from the city lights for a better viewing experience.
That sounds like a fantastic opportunity for stargazers and photographers. I can imagine people flocking to these areas to capture the beauty of the auroras.
It's remarkable how nature can create such mesmerizing displays. But as the article points out, These solar storms can also pose risks to the country's electrical grid and communication systems.
Indeed, Carl. Solar storms can generate intense geomagnetic activity that interacts with our planet's magnetic field. This interaction can induce currents in power lines and disrupt communication networks.
The potential impact on New Zealand's infrastructure is a cause for concern. The country must take precautions to mitigate the risks associated with solar storms.
It's important to balance the wonder and awe of natural phenomena with the need to protect our technological systems. Finding solutions to these challenges is crucial for the progress and stability of our civilization.
Absolutely, Eva. It's a reminder that while we marvel at the beauty of our universe, we must also work together to ensure the safety and well-being of our planet and its inhabitants.
I couldn't agree more, Charlie. It's a complex issue that requires our attention and collective effort. We have the potential to overcome this challenge if we come together and prioritize the preservation of our planet.
Well said, Alice. And with that, we concluded this episode of Earth. But before we go, let's shift gears for a moment and gather in the ship's lounge. Let's share stories from our youth and enjoy each other's company.
That sounds like a wonderful idea, Bob. Laughter and camaraderie are essential in times of uncertainty.
Indeed, Debbie. It's important to find joy and support in our relationships, especially when facing the unknown.
As the camera pans out, we leave you with a sense of anticipation. We've explored different perspectives, engaged in thoughtful conversations, and reminded ourselves of the power of unity. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Stay tuned for more episodes of Earth.
I can't believe you just said that, Carl. Relationships are about more than just joy and support. They require commitment, understanding, and hard work.
Oh, come on, Roger. Lighten up. I was just joking. Of course, relationships take effort, but joy and support are the backbone of a healthy partnership.
It's not just about being happy all the time, Carl. Real relationships face challenges, and you can't simply rely on joy.
Ugh,